say approve broadband.
February 28th, Newcastle Broadband Committee, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The update that we got from Alan that we don't have the correct spreadsheet, but I will pull up the incorrect spreadsheet because why the heck not? He has not sent me the corrected.
I got the corrected.
You didn't
Did
get the, yeah, he sent the corrected shortly after we gave you notice.
Okay, I was just looking at it, but I was confused. Well, that's what
Well-
I have in front of me now. So there we go. We have the correct.
It's
thing.
easy, yeah.
Yeah.
It was confusing because he flip-flopped the title instead of the amount. So that's, at first it took me a while, but
Okay. We've got that in front of us. I'll separate this. There we go.
Yeah.
So basically the only thing that he got approved from the Mannings was to increase the company's commitment by 2%, and their plan is to ask Connect Maine for 10%
Evan, we no
more.
longer have the spreadsheet up.
Ah, that's weird. Hold on, restart.
But you're right, that was the assessment, is that, you know, ask Connect Maine for more.
Yes.
As
Okay, can
long
you see
as
it now?
whatever they don't get from Connect Maine, Tidewater is picking up the tab.
That would be preferable. Yep.
Yeah. Since we're not gonna get any more.
So you guys can see the spreadsheet now.
So. Yep. That's
Okay.
correct.
So here's the increase of 10% on the Connect Maine side and the 2% on the company side, and then a total decrease of 12% ask of the town, which gets us to $60,640. So I'll open it up to you guys for what and how and when tonight should go and who's coming, and open the floor to.
Let me just ask a question first before we go there. Is it 50% reasonable?
Good question.
What Alan
Mary
told
Ellen,
me-
Mary Ellen, do you know?
Krista's jumping in, or Mary Ellen.
Oh, Krista?
Yeah, I first wanted to apologize for being kind of out of touch with last weekend being last Monday being a holiday, and feel like I haven't been helpful, but and today I'm doing childcare. But I would just say it's so hard for providers to know what to ask of Connect Maine is the question. Is it a reasonable ask? Is that the question?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. And I would just say yes, because I've seen enough other communities all over the map as far as what they're asking for. And it's hard. It feels like a gamble from providers, but this is one of the biggest pots of money that has ever been. And so if it is a higher percentage than providers have asked for in the past, that I think it's because they're all kind of talking to each other and knowing that, like, we think it's okay. I know that other towns that have way less of a, case to make as far as having unserved, like Newcastle has, are asking for more, and it might bite them. There was definitely this part of me that was,
Right.
that was just wondering, like, should Tidewater just ask? Should they even ask for more? But I think they're being conservative and yet asking for more than they've ever asked for. So if they're comfortable with it, I think that the committee should be, because they've done a lot more of these.
Alan told me that they have never asked for 50%, but he says it's worth a shot, is basically.
And it's at least refreshing that it's only 1% of the total funds available in this grant round.
Okay.
Does the 60,000 meet the town's committing? Does that meet Connect Maine's requirements?
Yes.
Yeah, I think the requirement was $700 a head, but that was a combination of both, not
So then
Okay.
if you go down to this section right here,
just the towns.
that
Am I right on
number
that?
would then be 1,701. if the town puts in at least 60,640, that would be spent per premise or subscriber. So that puts them over, puts us over $1,000 over the Connect Main minimum.
I guess the question is, what do we go for a full 70 with the selectmen tonight? It's knowing that if everything comes fine, you may not have to spend it all.
I think we should ask for a little bit more than the 60,000. We should have a buffer.
Okay.
So we don't have to go back to them again.
Right. Well, there might not be any money there.
Well, another reason not to, another reason to ask for buffer.
Yeah.
Hey, David, have you had any chance to discuss any of this with your select board folks over the weekend? You said you were going to try to contact them.
Yes,
What's
and
the-
I was able to connect with 3 out of the 4, and the results were mixed, and were reflected in those talking points that I sent out. Was directly related to comments. The biggest one that I heard is from a couple members is we don't want to subsidize a business. One was struggling between, okay, you know, he agreed that this was a public benefit, but you know, how does he fill the gap between the public benefit and subsidizing a business? And that's why I think if we focus on referring to this as a partnership with Tidewater rather than just helping them with their business, it may sway the thinking a little bit in that regard.
Was that one person or 2 people, did you say?
Well, two stated that they don't want to subsidize the business.
And what, did they have any suggestions on how, I think that's a bad word to use anyways. I don't think we're subsidizing.
Right.
We're
Right.
investing in the town. And if you look at my
I mean, hell,
calculation,
they're
356 ROI. So
Right.
did they have any, did you converse on that? I mean, did you push back and did they give you any ideas on how we do this? You know?
No, actually, they wouldn't push back or commit. Well, I didn't push back, but I wanted to know what they're thinking, obviously. And, you know, they sound like they may be there. We just need to do a good job of talking about partnerships, talking about investing. Thank you for doing the math on the ROI, and hopefully you'll.
Use that number tonight, please.
Exactly, or,
That was very helpful, Tim.
Yeah.
yeah,
What-
That's why we're paying you the big bucks.
that really puts it into perspective.
It
So,
does.
It really does. And when I hear that word subsidy, I mean, they might be they may be proponents of a municipal owned system if they knew what it was, but I don't see how else you can do it. I mean,
Right,
this
that's
is
just an excuse to say
How
no,
about-
Go
How about this one added thought?
ahead.
One other thing is if they go to put a mechanical ventilation system in the building, they're going to be paying a contractor to do that. Are they subsidizing? Of course they are. I mean, if you want to use that term,
Good
you
point.
know, anybody that's going to be doing any work, you're paying money for it, which they do all the time. The town money goes out to snowplow
Maybe
contractors,
state-
whoever.
Okay, so we got to have a good, strong comment against subsidiary, Dave, subsidizing, I'm sorry, Dave, that's why you brought it up in the, for the public comments. Is that part of your comments as well, tonight?
no,
assume
I
you're
didn't
gonna kick this
address,
off.
I didn't address the subsidy part of it at all. I'm just looking through my list here. No,
Okay.
mine was more addressing the due diligence of the committee, what's brought us here. And the proposal pointing out that there's a $16 million that it's really important for the town to be contributing to Connect Maine, or we're not going to get any grants.
It's a requirement. It's not really important. It's a requirement.
Right.
We have to.
And
That has to be stressed.
And depending on how much we want to talk about the whole partnership thing, the fact is that Connect Me has been partnering with private providers for years. I don't know how many years, 10, 15 years. It's always been a partnership. You can see it one way, right? You can see it in the negative light here, but going forward here, as you guys know, thank you, Krista. The fact is we have to stretch the money in the state's broadband plan. It's about stretching the investment. You get so much from the state, now more from the feds. You get the investors, the ISP's investment, which is significant, and you get the towns. More can be done because of that. So I think it's been some years since we've talked about it being subsidy. But as you said, Tim, if you want to create a private, a municipal utility, go for it. And you can control
Well,
everything. But that's not the way that Newcastle's proposing to go forward right now. So anyway. I
Right.
can go on and on about that, but I'll try not to tonight.
So Tim, in answer to your other question, yes, 3-2, that would make it an approval. If it's an emotion for a certain amount, it's going to be a yes or no. And I've tried to gauge if somebody's would enter a friendly amendment if they were, prone to do it, but they didn't like the amount, and nobody committed to doing that. So it sounds like it's just going to be up or down. But I hope they would allow another motion if we said 65 and they weren't comfortable with 65. If they vote that down, somebody would come back and say, well, how about 60?
It's not a negotiate. But that's not really, okay, yeah.
I know, but that's
See
the
you
way they're
working.
thinking, is that
Yeah,
you know.
I'm trying to think, how do we get them off that thinking? This is,
we really justify the number. They're going to say, why, say, for example, if we could say 65, why 65? And we can say, well, the proposal is 60,644, but then you're going to have to justify the extra.
And also start that the first number was 100 plus.
right, that's
Right.
very important.
It's already been kicked and kicked and kicked.
Yep, they've dropped it 40 or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, 40, yeah, and 40% too. is
We're
an
not
important
done
way to look at it.
negotiating with them, and we need a little bit more, we need a little buffer. $10,000 is not a lot.
Yeah, I don't know how the buffer argument would, I don't think that's going to sell it. It's got to be another reason, like what would we use those funds for?
Mary Ellen's about to say something. I can tell it's on the.
Go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, so we're not gonna take, if they give us 70,000, but we say, oh, we only need 60, we're gonna be putting that money into the grant. We're not saving it. If anything, in my mind, because we haven't done the grant application, it's gonna help your scoring. So you're gonna take any money they give you over that 60 and put it towards the grant and to help get that community financial commitment a little bit higher. And we're not setting it
Okay.
aside, for future use. That doesn't, in my mind, of course, I'm not on the
Okay.
committee, but anyway.
So do we ask for more? So do we ask for the 70 or 75, which we discussed the other day? Forget what the proposal, we know what the proposal is. They don't know what the proposal is at this
Yeah,
point, right?
They know what it is, or I asked for it to be distributed to the board because a couple members said if there's any new information, if it comes out at the meeting, they're going to vote no because they want information ahead of time.
That's fair.
Okay.
And
How about-
Evan
how about-
said
I
something.
know, Mary Ellen, I'm with you. It's like,
Who are the two selectmen that are on our side?
well, you're looking at one, and
One,
I,
okay.
and if I'm counting votes, I think Tor is with us as long as there's some money left over for some other projects, so some wiggle room. I think at 60, 65, that will be the case. So
I'll-
we're not
I'll-
saying let's drain all the funds, which is good.
I'll add
And how much do we have how much do you have again? 176, 200? What's the right number? Do we know?
I believe it's about 80,000 that's available.
Oh.
That's left over.
Everything else has been
Mhm.
divvied up?
Well, there's been a couple projects that I talked to you about, and there's one that they want to consider, but the town manager said she didn't have time to put it forward for this meeting, is the premium pay issue. But somebody suggested that would only be 10,000
Okay.
if it was
Okay.
approved. And then the sort of sort of vague one is there's other projects out there. And to me, it's, we can't be
Well-
thinking about those. We have to look at the merits of this.
What's in front of
program.
you in the first place?
And
Yeah,
that's
well,
it.
maybe you ought to, in part of your talking points, Dave, you ought to say specifically ARPA, in the ARPA definition, broadband was mentioned.
It certainly,
So-
does, yeah.
I don't know if the other things that that they're planning to spend this money on was mentioned, like ventilation or whatever else we've heard come and go, but broadband was specifically mentioned in that, in one of the definitions I've seen online, so that might help you.
Does it make sense to request up to a certain amount? In other words,
I
you
think
know.
what they need for the grant is a specific amount.
They need
What
a
is the
specific amount.
town
Yeah.
Gonna put in, and so whatever we're asking for is what we are going to tell Tidewater we could contribute.
Oh.
Um,
Okay, so
Mhm.
if we get 60,000, whatever that number is in the Tidewater spreadsheet, is
Right,
Tidewater says we're gonna submit the application?
yes.
Well, okay, well,
So shouldn't the
If-
number
if-
be 6644, you know?
what happens if, okay, Connect Maine doesn't give 50%, they go back to 40%? Who pays, does the thing get divvied up at the percentage that we've got?
Well,
I
Um,
think at that point you've put in your money and it's up to them to,
To
Yeah.
decide what
Fill
to
up-
do next.
fill
That's the
the-
assumption that Tidewater is gonna pick up the slack there, but
I don't know, maybe Kristen knows more, but there's an evaluation process and some of us are gonna be above the cutoff and some of us are gonna be below the cutoff as you go through the whole application. So I don't think I can answer that question right now. If they, so I don't know, Evan, if you have a take on how Connect Me is gonna factor in this thing and then make a decision. If the grant otherwise has to be, super, super excellent for the scoring to be above a certain cutoff point. And that's, as I think we've mentioned, this is the first time with this particular kind of form.
I think that the way I understood it working, and I can confirm this, but is that they don't give you a different amount than you ask. You just
Okay.
you ask for the amount, and if
Oh.
you score, then you get that amount. If you score above the threshold, like, it's the amount that they have to give out. The request, the amount that you're asking for ends up being part of the formula of how you're getting scored, but so are a bunch of other things. So yeah, I would say that there's, nobody really knows, but that you ask for it. If you don't get it, my word of, hope or inspiration is that there will be another grant round soon, because they will have to get rid of more money this year. And you'll probably know where you scored, how you scored, so that you could try again, is kind of the approach I'm starting to feel like, yeah, people are going to need to take.
is Connect Maine still the entity? Aren't they changing it?
They are gonna change it.
Okay,
but
Well,
right
they,
now, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, they still are the grant giving entity. The Maine Connectivity Authority is working with Connect Maine to kind of have Connect Maine continue to be especially the planning grants, but potentially also continue to hold infrastructure grants. Yeah.
But,
Krista, you mentioned Joel Lynn, and I talked to Joel Lynn along with Ben Fry in the very beginning when you recommended them as potentials to volunteer to be on the committee. So I would hope that Joel would also be supportive, but I know he's also really cautious about the funds, but these are not town funds.
right.
These are not property tax or other revenues that are coming into the town. And David, I think we talked about the survey results, and there was a lot of support for this. And I think maybe stressing that the survey results and what we got from the townspeople and anybody I've communicated with. I was happy to see Pam Sperry's note. That was
But
important.
unfortunately, she can't make it tonight.
Right, but so, and I don't know how many other emails came in, but and even if that will matter, because they may just be looking at it as a campaign. But I think using the results of the survey, because it's not just the people that don't have access, it's our fellow neighbors. And I talked to a few over the weekend and they said, yes, we'll support that. They have high-speed internet, but they see the inequity in the whole thing and they want to support it. So if some of them are able to come to the meeting or show up, that would be helpful.
So Joel was the one select board member who I haven't been able, we played phone tag.
Yeah, okay.
But I do know is that the town manager was an advocate of not having this on tonight's agenda, and he made sure that it was on tonight's agenda.
Good.
Okay.
So I think he's supportive in that regard. I think
Okay.
if he gets the cover that he needs, meaning that people, town citizens saying, we want this, we want you to put this money to this use, he will be more prone to support it. So I think between himself, myself, and Tor, I think we can go over the things, and the others may come around during the discussion. But I was a little concerned when I heard a comment that said, I'm fine with my speed having just a DSL. Sort of shocked that actually that person said that, and not thinking, and I pointed out the inequity of, that. And also that person said, well, we have some roads that only have a couple houses down there. Will they subscribe? And I told that person that I didn't believe that mattered. The fact is it has to be available, and the people who are there now could be leaving in 2 months, who knows? And to make that attractive to the next person who comes
Right.
in, they
Right.
want to see a hookup. So
And that'll increase the property values. The sales will go up when you, if you're trying to sell a house where that can only get DSL, the average price that it goes up if you have a fiber connection is like $6,000 of home value across
Well,
the
that's a
country.
good point.
Did you make up that number, Evan, or?
I saw it once on the internet, George, and I read it and I believe it.
it's got to be true then, right?
Hey, getting back to the amount again, we got all good points, but maybe we could finalize that. I didn't realize that we were down to 80,000 when we were talking last week. I still had the impression that there was 175,000 out there. There was a few projects that were floating around, but nothing was specific. David, it sounds like you're telling us it's 80,000 is
So
the ceiling.
they're saying that because they've earmarked the renovations to the town hall and for this new air filtration system and this possible premium pay thing.
Did you guys vote on that?
Which one?
On the filtration system?
Yes, we've done that one.
All right, so we're at 80,000. Is what you're
So
saying.
if
You
it's
think there's 80,000 or
we
so
take
left.
60.
I think that's right.
Okay,
So I
well,
think instead of asking for more than we need, I think Evan had like $700 or something when we were talking about 70,000. So I think when you can prove or show them, okay, we need this much for each one, then that's validating our request as opposed to where we're just shooting for the stars. So
Well, wouldn't we just ask for the 60,000 and change?
I would,
Yeah.
Because
keep
that's
it
what
simple. Ask for 60.
Tidewater is
Oh, I would, yeah.
saying.
I
is
would.
justifiable.
Right.
And the pushback, what I anticipate would be, well, they're adding in this cost and this cost,
Right.
but I would say, well, but they're saying that if we contribute this, we can get it done. And, predicated on the grant, but.
You
we
can also
know-
say that those things can be discussed later during negotiations. This is to get $60,000 to get Connect Maine money. We got to keep that in their mind. This is what this is for.
Yeah, for every $1 from the town, it's $4.55 from the state and from the company.
Exactly. Don't focus on LCI and Tidewater as much. Negotiations are going to continue, and that's how you can say that. That's what the Broadband Committee is set up for, not the select board folks. That's not their job. This is to approve money to get money from Connect Maine.
Mhm.
That's what the meeting is tonight. Right?
Mhm.
I think.
Yep.
So stay focused, Dave, stay focused on that point with these folks. And I think we've got a better chance. If you get into them looking at that spreadsheet and say, well, why are they getting this or why are they getting that? I mean, if it
Right.
goes down that path, good luck. So don't
Well,
let
and
'em.
I thought the detail was for Tidewater showing their transparency of where they were going to use the money. A lot of times you don't get that transparency. You just get a bottom dollar amount and nobody's going to tell you what they're going to spend for administrative costs or whatever. So that was their transparency. That's how I saw it. And the person that was asking that, they have access to good internet. And so there again, if you have DSL that you're happy with and that's all you need, that's fine. Was that a broadband? I mean, was that a select board member, David?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, okay, but
Send them the
that's
surveys and let them read,
Right.
or her. I
Right.
don't know which one it was, but that's, wow. That's great. thinking.
There's one
Anyways,
other point that we might want to make, is that we're dealing with expensive runs you've got a lot of wire to run for not a whole lot of, except for Milliken Island Road, that seems to have a pretty dense user base there, but a lot of the other stuff. And so what's happening is, I think that's the whole reason for the federal monies coming in, is to connect up the rural people that none of the companies really would spend the money. The rate of return for them is very low.
right.
Uh,
Well,
But I
and
don't want to talk about federal money other than these ARPA funds
Just the
because
ARPA fund, yeah.
another comment is, well, there's a big infrastructure bill. We got money
Right.
coming our way. And
Right.
so we really have to, present the urgency of using
Right.
the
I
Connect.
can do that if I'm allowed to speak at the meeting.
Okay. Just raise your hand. That's all you need to do.
Okay.
well, and as we've
And
said
if
before,
you need a motion, it will be made. So.
the competition and the availability of equipment and supplies, if we're not able to get on this, we've been working for 2 years on this and the challenge is going to be the competition of all the other towns and we're seeing it. It's unfolding right before our eyes, all these other towns that are getting funding and so those towns that are funded are going to get the services first.
Yep,
So
that's a good
yes, we
point.
can wait 2 years, we can wait till 2024, but that's not what we're asking for. We're asking to proceed now. The money is there.
Well,
Yep.
and we're at the point where, we brought forward a proposal and that has to be decided.
The homework has been done.
Right.
These pet projects, they don't have 200, however many people you have that are in unanimous approval with that. And not many
Mhm.
things can say that ever. So
Well, I think another point is that this is a town committee of citizens that was put together by the selectmen. And if they don't listen to us, why would anybody ever do a town committee again?
very
Point.
similar things happen in Wiscasset. I'll tell you right now.
David, you jotting all these things down?
I'm getting the bulk of it, at least.
Well, get the good ones.
At least I hope it. So.
Well, so do we. That's, what else you got, this is it.
I'll
Yeah.
address at
We-
the meeting if they touch on the federal money coming down and the Connect Main Authority money, and that the formula is not going to be much different from now. People are looking for and I see Mary Ellen shaking her head, but it's going to take town commitment from everybody. And that's the message. And that message got thrown into the stew for at least a few people. I don't know, how widespread it really is, but seems to be a message that that's just going to be a blank check, and it's not.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is that we need to put money on the table and recognizing that and putting it in terms of an investment, I think is going to make a difference because the investment's getting a payoff for the public benefit. And of course, the money coming in, which leads to that public benefit. So,
And
So-
ultimately, it should increase your tax revenue, and it should help
Right.
to lower the tax rate.
Right.
So
all
I
the
don't
time.
know procedurally if Joel will go immediately to comment or if I will have the floor, then he'll go to comment. I imagine that once I make a motion for a specific amount, it will cut off the comments because the discussion will be among the board members.
So you would go through all these key points before you make a motion, David? I take it?
Ideally, that's would be the best thing. If not, then I'm making them by myself if once a motion is made, is my point. So the
But who else, who would make a motion if you didn't?
no, I would, well, I don't know. I don't think anybody's going to jump in front of me.
Well, they don't have an amount either, right?
On this one, and they may want to say it's just on the agenda for discussion, and I'm going to say, no, I'm going to make a motion. No, my point is that for the community comment, it may be shut off if it doesn't have the chance to do it before a motion is made. That's the simple point that I was just trying to say. So just whenever there's an opportunity, hopefully the community who are present will say something.
And we don't have any idea who may or may not be there.
Nobody has sent an email that I've seen that says, I confirm I will be there tonight.
Right.
So,
Same with me. I have not seen that.
One thing we.
Is this
we
meeting
probably-
recorded?
We probably should, and I think we've talked over that subject already, but make sure it gets mentioned, is that any grant monies that the town typically, for a project, for a public works project, road, sidewalks, whatever, there's usually a local matching component. It could be as little as 20%, it could be as much as 50%. And that's taxpayer dollars that have to be put in. So this is no different. You know, even though you're dealing with a private entity and you're kicking money into that, but it's just project.
Yep. And that blends right into that it's a necessity. It's not even really an amenity at this point.
Right, right.
It's not
I
like
think
when
that-
you drive by a motel and it says we have a color TV and AC, and it's just like, well, I hope so, because I wouldn't be staying there otherwise.
Well, they still say free internet.
Yeah,
as
yeah,
if
yeah,
anybody
free internet.
charges for it. Oh, what the hell?
George, I think that's a great point, and I think that some of the people I were talking to weren't thinking about other projects like that. So to relate it to a road project where they were matching funds or where the money went to a private business,
Mhm.
I mean, it should
Mhm.
resonate.
So who is doing the renovations at the town office? That's probably a local contractor, might even be on a committee or something for the town.
Local, if you call Manchester local.
Are you serious? Okay.
Going that far.
How much was allocated for that?
25.
Okay.
And that's not for the ventilation part, is it? That's
That's-
for
For the whole system.
the
right?
whole,
With
for the
the-
whole
With the
system.
heat pumps and the.
Oh,
ventilation.
okay, yeah.
David, do you expect Sarah to have any other objections to this? I mean, she didn't want it on the agenda, but does she have 12 other little projects she wants to get funded out of this?
You know, it
80,000,
makes me
or-
wonder if she has some other projects in mind, but she didn't really articulate
Okay,
them specifically when we spoke on the phone about it.
okay.
You know,
Would have to
I
imagine
think it
she's
was
either
a
got-
vague that other buildings may need some attention. But I'm not sure if that qualifies under ARPA. so.
Right. To me, that would come under, what taxpayer money is used for, if you have to do updates and improvements and.
Right. But yeah, the point is that I wasn't being fair because she didn't have enough time to put all the projects together to present them. so.
She knew she had this project since she met with us at the town office in Damariscotta, so
Mhm. That's why
She must-
we didn't do it the next Monday meeting. She said that she needed time to put it together.
Yeah.
But then she said,
And I talked to her on the first week she was on the job. So she was on a Monday, and then I saw her at the Sugarloaf Conference on Friday and told her what we were up to. So it's been on the radar.
And I think you ought to stress the fact that Tidewater's original proposal was a 50-50 match. Now it's 32-18, which,
Right,
you know,
because Evan and I spoke with them and thought,
Mhm.
told them it's just not gonna go at 101.
Right.
And they were able to bend and adjust those, although it seems like the bulk of it is for Connect Main money, but it doesn't matter if
Right.
it reduces what the town ask is for.
So I think it would be a quick point as well to, if it comes up, to say that Newcastle's going in on its own because Damariscotta is 12-5, kick them out of the process here. Some people might think that's all you have to do. But that's unrealistic, as we know. So I think it's got to be clear that Newcastle's going in on its own. Because the Damariscotta proposal response was not at all close to.
I explained that to each of the ones who I spoke.
Okay.
has anybody spoken with Matt? I don't know if he's thinking that this whole application is gonna be the two towns together or not. I haven't
No, I
talked to
don't
him.
think he's
Oh, no.
thinking that. He replied, there was an email thread where LCI's press release was posted and from the NTIA grant, and Matt responded, Alan, it doesn't look like the town put up any money on that project. And I responded to him that this was a lot different. Like the federal government thought that low of Jefferson, Somerville, and Washington, Maine to be like, no one's coming for these people.
Right.
Okay. Like that's
So-
like, you can't put that in the same category.
For that competitive grant there, it's.
Right.
totally
They were lucky to
different.
get it. It was a much longer competitive process, but
And they've worked for a long time too. So,
Yep,
they've
definitely.
been working very hard on this. So. I just find it very interesting, and I'm sure the rest of you do. Look at the volunteer man hours that are being put into each town to be able to get something that should be out there for everyone. So when you take all the committees and all the hard work that everybody is doing in each town, that is a lot of manpower, volunteer manpower. This is not, nobody's being paid to do this. So you have to have a passion and be caring about why this is a necessity for your neighbors. So it's just a lot of energy is being put into this for all the towns.
So there was an email that went out and one resident said that it was important because his friend came up to visit and he didn't want his friend to leave the house, and that sort of got a scoff, but
Oh.
I thought, but everybody has.
But it's a
reason,
reality.
and
It's,
it
it's,
doesn't matter. That's right.
yeah, it doesn't have to sound that entitled. It can be like, yeah, my kid we had to go to the McDonald's and sit in the parking lot so the kid could upload an assignment, whatever it may be.
Right.
My son-in-law could not work from home because we didn't have enough bandwidth here. He had to rent an office space in Damariscotta. Other neighbors or other people we know have to go into town. These aren't people that are here necessarily for the summer. These are working people that, and even the telemed piece is, we have telemed equipment in our home, and that can't go down. That can't be stressed or wondering, are we going to have enough bandwidth to be able to get this information over the line?
But on Glidden Street, we have high-speed internet, and we have people who work with multinational companies like Staples and Disney and others.
Right. Well, that's where the
problem there.
inequity is. Right. Right.
Exactly. That's
Right.
I want
And do
Milliken
you-
Island
and-
to be the Silicon Valley of Eastern Newcastle.
Right. And do those people on Glidden Street pay a whole lot more in taxes than the people in George's neighborhood and my neighborhood?
I doubt it. Not based on my tax bill.
Well, I don't want to
Yeah, hey.
compare it because I may cry because mine is probably worse, but
Yeah, I
I'd
think yours-
I'd like to compare. You ought to see mine. For what I get at
true.
3
yeah.
MIPS, on a
Right.
good day. Hey, David, I don't know much about town politics and process, but I understand the importance of it. Can you, and unfortunately, I won't be there at the meeting tonight. Can you tell me how this works tonight? The meeting starts at 7 o'clock. What happens? Because you referenced
Pledge of
Um,
Allegiance,
Okay, I don't need that,
first on,
but, you know.
first on the
you said-
list. Second on the
Yeah.
list is, future agenda items. Usually nothing happens there. Third on the list is a open comment for items that are not on the agenda. So
And ours is on the
somebody can-
agenda, right?
Ours is on the agenda. So then
Okay.
it goes on to the agenda items then. And we are first on those agendas. So as long as it doesn't get shuffled around, we will be up for
So
discussion.
then you start talking at that point?
So at that point, it will be up to the chair to decide if he comes directly to me, knowing that, I'm on the committee and we put it on the agenda, or if he notes that there's a lot of people in the audience and wants to hear the community's comments before we engage in any discussion.
And Joel is the chair, is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I suspect
can-
and I hope is that he's just going to call on me first, and then I'm going to give him background, make these points, and then ask him to recognize people in the audience before I make a motion. And then we'll make a motion. It'll, hopefully get a second. Usually it will. And then we will have the discussion from
Yeah.
there.
But if you talk to him beforehand, would he come to you before? If you said, hey, I've got some comments, all the stuff we've been talking about here for the last 30 minutes. I would like to present those. Do you have a better chance of him coming to you first before going to the
It
people that have
may.
shown up?
It may. I don't know. His style is all over the place at times. So.
Well, you got a
But-
chance if you ask him,
but
right?
it-
I mean,
Oh, yeah. Well, no. I'm
don't you
just
think it
telling-
would be better if you had a chance to set the stage and give people all this background before you got into the, all the stories and stuff?
Well, it is on the agenda as something in discussion. I'll have to go back to the agenda to see what the actual wording is. But as a discussion, then it sounds more open-ended, and you have to give time for that. So it is broadband committee proposal, review, and discussion.
Well,
So
yours is the proposal. Your section is the proposal, so.
yeah. And then after that's road update. So what's more drier than roads, I guess, broadband internet. So yeah, I'm confident that I will have a opportunity to speak before it goes out to the general public. And matter of fact, my comments that I've sort of drafted has remarked about that there are people here that probably want to make comments, and I asked the chair to recognize them.
And Krista is
Mary
telling
Ellen
us that
is-
she will be at the meeting. Is that right, Krista?
I'm able to make it. You mentioned the time is 7, and but I'm wondering if it's if there is a virtual option.
Unfortunately,
No.
no.
All right. Then let me double check with my husband on that. But just wanted to check in on if it feels like at this juncture, if that would be helpful.
Just
Well,
tell
you
them
can
it's
bring
his
Gillen,
time,
I'll
Sharon.
watch him.
Yeah.
Everything is
He'll be
helpful.
asleep.
Please come. Please.
And Mary Ellen, are you attending? Okay, all right. I think that, our consultants being there is extremely important, and you have a much broader view of how all of this works and can answer questions, because as Tim has mentioned before and everyone else, it's educating people. A lot of people just, they don't understand, especially if they have it, there's no issue with them. They wouldn't even understand what it would be like to not have that.
And Alan may be there. He
Okay,
couldn't
great.
commit for sure, but
well, that would be
Mhm.
helpful,
he may be there.
because he can answer questions too.
Right, but it would be great if we can stay away from questions and just get the points in and
Yeah,
Right.
I would stay away from anything that has to do with Tidewater. This is Connect Maine. 60,000 to get 270,000. That's what this is
although
for.
what Alan could talk about is Tidewater's success with Connect Me,
Mhm.
certainly.
If you get to that point, then you got approval, I would say, yeah, it seems it's releasing the money. It doesn't sound like any of your mates are worried about whether we're getting approval or not. It's the money. It's, it's $60,000, but It's just my guess.
Tom, will you be there?
I will be.
So shall I be, or am I able to say that the committee is requesting 60,644, or do you want to ask for something less, more, indifferent? My recommendation is to go and ask for the 60,000.
Just straight 60 or the number that Tidewater
Well,
gave
yeah,
us?
6644. I think.
I would. I
That-
mean, if
That's the
if
number
that's,
that's on the table. so.
Yeah.
Right.
I would too.
Yep.
So it's our recommendation unanimously that the select board fund that $60,644. Good. That's, I
With a
mean,
lot of excitement, Dave. Be excited.
yeah.
Get excited
wow,
about
yeah.
this. Come on.
Woo, I can jump up and.
Yeah,
all
no,
this
no,
here.
yeah, I know.
I
You've got
know.
high speed. You know, there's 100 people, 100 of your folks that could vote for you, maybe, you know, that don't. Come on, we need a champion, and that's you. You're critical.
He's exhausted. He's worked on this so long.
Go take a nap. I mean,
Look at his-
exhausted now.
Look, I'm trying to sell a convenience store and it's not going well, so
And he
we're down
lost
to the
all his,
wire, so.
he lost all his hair over this. Jeez.
If you don't sell this isn't going well either.
You're right. Okay, now I'm starting to think the mob's involved.
Hey, if you would do, if you know, would somebody give us an update after the meeting tonight on what happened? So we don't have to.
It
wait
will be
too
on
long?
YouTube, I
Right, you
think.
can
Yeah.
watch it on YouTube, it's just that it's not interactive, that's the thing. So
Oh,
you-
it is on
Tim,
YouTube.
Yes.
Tim, I will commit to call you.
No, you
There
don't have
we
to call
go.
me. Send me an email. No, don't call.
I want to call
Wait a
you.
minute, I want to see
I'm
the.
going to send you an email. My internet might not be up. I'd rather
well,
call
I
you.
know. Wait, somebody can.
Middle
Wait a minute, I want to
10:30.
hear, wait a minute, it's on
Yeah.
YouTube? Wait a minute, tell me more.
Hold
Tell
on,
me
I'm
more.
gonna send everybody the link of.
There you go, thank you.
And you can make comments during the meeting, but we don't see them, but others people who are watching will, listening.
It's waste of time.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
So when you click on the link for the Newcastle channel, it should, if it's on there live, then it should be somewhere near to the top, either on home or on videos, and it will kind of be red around it or something to show
Cool.
that it's
you're
alive.
perfect, thank you. Thanks for sharing that.
Now, we've had trouble with people saying that they can't hear some of the select board members. If that's the case, text somebody there so so they can wave their hand and say, speak up, and speak into those mics.
I'll say that anyway, so it sounds like there's 30 people
Can you use
watching.
microphones to
go.
pass around?
David, hopefully that one won't be you. okay?
No,
Hopefully
usually
I'll
it's
hear
not.
you loud and clear.
Usually
and
it's not
excited.
me, it's somebody on the other side.
Excited.
So
356% in ROI, David. Come on now.
it's pretty good. But that's, you know, if we invest more, maybe we get more, but that would be foolish to ask for more than what Tidewater is asking for us.
Thanks, Krista.
All right.
Got it.
But it's
Dave.
good, we're unified, so we can say that we want that amount of money. That's our recommendation. And I'm with Tom, you know, when I hear that from a committee who's worked hard, I have to respect that and really seriously take that into consideration, because that's the reason you got a committee, to do all the legwork and make a recommendation and not
Well, the
beat it
amount
to
of
death with other.
whatever it would have cost for a consultant, we have all invested hundreds of hours into this project. So let's hope that we're successful. I'm going to be optimistic. made it this far.
235 other people think it's a good idea too, that we know about. Okay, even though they don't show up at the meetings, you know, so.
You know, that's got to be significant. And they were clear, you know, not a one said they did not support what the committee was doing.
Yeah, I
Even the
think,
ones that have it. Yeah.
right, I think we were up to like 250 or something on that, the final
Yeah.
numbers for Survey Monkey. I'll take a look.
Round up.
Yeah, what if, I'm gonna look here. I said over 200, but I should be more pointed and say over 250.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah.
The last thing I saw, we had 255 responses,
You know,
of
that
which
was mine.
235 said yes and 0 said no.
Okay.
That's the number.
That's a fourth of the, how many people do we have in town? Is it 1,100 properties or something? Or what's the population? I don't know. It's a high percentage. Tim pointed out, it's like 25%.
All right, David, we're counting on you, man.
All right. I just hope I get my commission,
Yeah,
Same one that we get, bud.
of course.
Hey, if you're successful, we'll double it, David.
I'll certainly share. All right, double it. You guys are generous.
We'll share ours too.
I'll bring you some cookies.
Well, we don't want to celebrate till we get the.
No.
So, but you can win some hearts there, I guess, with refreshments, right? So
No, I'm not bringing any refreshments.
there we go. Well, afterwards, we all deserve a hard refreshment, right?
We'll meet down at Iders afterwards.
Yeah.
We're over at Public House, or, of course,
Yes,
they're probably not open. It's Monday, so forget
I
it.
know. Well, never try to go on a Tuesday for lunch. I went to 6 places one week and like, wait a second,
All right, I'll throw a 12 pack in my trunk and I'll see you guys at the dock.
there you go.
That's where
There
I'll
we
see
go.
you.
That's how it works in these towns, doesn't it? All right, so any points that we haven't talked about, I think, what I've heard are all.
If you can't be flipped now, you don't
Great
want to be
ideas.
flipped.
That's right,
There's an old saying that you can't wake somebody up who's pretending to be
Right.
asleep.
right. And when it comes down to it, this board has usually gone unanimous on everything that we voted on.
Mhm.
And it's because after discussion, we all come around. Whether that's good or bad, it's yet to be determined, but I'm confident in the discussions we've had and the thought processes that even the ones who maybe start off not so much on board would more likely to come around. And nobody in my conversation said absolutely no way, positively not. It's just some reservations that we can talk through.
Hmm.
So
Well,
I'm
on a
feeling
positive note, I'm
confident.
impressed that they take their time and they're thoughtful about the funds, and that's good that we have select board members that are watching out for those funds.
This will
So
be
I-
your chance to, dunk on Damariscotta on both of those accounts.
I'm
On
trying to
being
bring them
attentive
together,
and-
not, but although they may deserve it. Well, oops, this is being recorded. So.
So is Rob Nelson sort of on the fence on this? Sort of sounds like he is.
I'd rather not name individuals, but
Oh, okay. Sure.
if we address those points, I think the people who need to hear them will hear them. And,
Okay, good.
but, and I think that's it was said really eloquently, the way to address that is call it investments and not subsidizing a business. And as you pointed out, George, is we're paying private businesses all the time.
Mhm.
From money.
In very few times do you have a situation where you're getting more than a 1-for-1 match on a grant
Right.
or anything more than that. We're getting way more than that.
Absolutely. That's a good point, Evan. Make sure, get that across.
Well, so Rob's an entrepreneur, so this is gonna help small businesses. His wife's on the school board, right? So Stephanie is very familiar, should be familiar with how important broadband is to
Mhm.
equity across the student population there, so.
Right. I
They're
don't
both
think
very,
they're-
very smart people.
I
so,
think the
yeah.
struggle is more, the public benefit versus giving money to a private business. So we just bridge that gap with, terms like investments and returns on investments, and
And
that'll
this is the way-
resonate to those
Yeah,
people.
this is the way it's working mostly all across the country.
Yep.
Unless you're gonna do a municipal utility district,
Right.
this is what's happening all across the country. We're leveraging all the money
Right,
that's
right.
available.
And the board truly agrees that the municipal option is not an option for Newcastle. So where does that leave you? All right. It's with working with the provider to pull it off.
And I
This
think
guy
it should be.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
No,
I
sorry.
think it should be mentioned that up to this point, all of the cable, the fiber that's been put in around town has been totally on Tidewater shoulders. they've asked for no other help for that. I don't know if that means anything, but
I think it does.
Well, the point that I discussed with Alan, which I think is really good, is that their employees are here. They live in Newcastle. They live in this area. This money is going to just, stay in this community.
Yep.
It's not being invested with somebody that will take it out of the community. And I think that's a good investment too. So the investment is more than 356% if it circulates throughout the community. In terms of wages or their employees going to the store. It's not a far away entity.
Right, and there are probably several that live in Newcastle.
Yes. I just don't have a figure on that.
The
I don't
last-
either.
The last thought I'll add is that in talking with a lot of the town fathers and mothers throughout the area that I've been beginning to notice is that everybody starts out being very tight, and then once the decision is made, they are Roosevelt and it's the rural electrification program, and they couldn't be happier to be the poster child of it. So I'm gonna hope that that's gonna be a
Well,
similar
I mean,
situation
yeah,
here.
they should be proud if they're supporting equality, digital equality throughout. And that's what they have to keep in their mind, is that public benefit that comes of this. Through the money of course, of Maine and the federal government.
David,
Mel.
just to confirm, this is at the firehouse community room.
I'll be there at about 6:30, so if you want to come early,
Okay.
you're more than welcome.
Okay.
You know,
Right,
the
and,
more
Do you
people
have a
who
bottle
sit
opener?
upstairs- Yeah, I'll keep it in my bag.
And is Newcastle doing masks?
Yeah, that's the question I was
Yeah.
gonna ask.
Yeah, you should wear
Masks.
one. Yeah.
Got it.
I have
hit-
mine ready.
Until the main CDC makes some adjustments, that's the way it's going to be.
I'll go ahead and hit stop on the recording.
Okay.